Well, good morning, everybody. I hope you had a great Christmas. I know we did around here. I just wanted to take a few minutes and spend a little bit of time with you. I really appreciate you watching this video, and I'm looking forward to being back with you. Hope you're getting a lot of good rest, eating a lot of good food, and creating some wonderful memories. 2020, at the beginning of the year, we declared that it was the year of fulfillment. Really felt like God spoke that to me toward the end of 2019, that we were going to turn the page and there were going to be dreams that were fulfilled and promises that were going to be fulfilled. And of course, then, this virus came and the pandemic, and everything sort of became the focus of all of our lives. What's coming next, and with all these lockdowns and restrictions and requirements that have been put on all of us. But, I'm so proud of Destiny Church and all of you guys because of, we just didn't let it stop us. We just refused to quit, refused to give up, and refused to cower, in fear. And we really did see God do some incredible things this year. And it was a powerful, powerful year of ministry. And even in these last, couple of months here, we've just seen God bring together some things and fulfill some things that we've been praying for, some of them for years. And so I just want to give you just a real quick year-end review here of some of the things that you all accomplished. First of all, we celebrated our 12-year anniversary, which is a huge deal in the life of any church, especially a church plant in Las Vegas. It's a really big deal for us to be able to celebrate that and look back on all that God has done. We had in guest speakers, Pastor Bert Springer, Pastor Jerry Campers, Pastor Randy Pickney, and Trina Miller all were brought in this year to minister to our church. We recruited and trained multiple new volunteers for different places in ministry so they could use their spiritual gift and minister to the body. We were able to continue our monthly prayer meetings that were happening and still going on. And we're just grateful for everybody that would come out and help us pray. The women's ministry had a mini conference this year, which was a huge hit. Destiny Kids, we had several Destiny Kids Sunday fun days. And each of these would have a different theme for our kids so they could come out and play and just have fun and learn about Jesus, but then really have a great time building some memories with our kids' ministries. We were able to do a daddy-daughter dance. If you guys remember that, it was a big deal back towards Valentine's Day. It was the first one we've ever done, and it was just amazing to see that. Then we started our Rows to Circles teaching. If you guys remember, right before this pandemic hit, God really began to speak to our heart about moving from rows to circles. Rows is where you get inspiration. Circles is where you get transformation. And so we hosted a big brunch. Tracy and I did big teaching, not knowing what was coming just in a few weeks, that this pandemic was going to shift everything and change everything. And so we did that. And it was really just a powerful move of the Holy Spirit getting us prepared for what He knew was coming. This year, we had Keely Judge officially joined our team as the Destiny's Kids Director, which has been just a huge success, and what a blessing Keely has been. Now, a lot of you hadn't seen her in church on Sundays is because this pandemic, it's really affected her team and people that are able to come and minister and teach kids. So she's been back almost every week for months now, ministering to our kids, and so committed to that. It's really inspiring. Propel, our women's series, they did that several times this year as well. Bible study that women did, and it was virtual. We literally had ladies from different countries and all over the country that were joining in on this virtual Bible study that our women's ministry was putting on. And so they were able to minister to a lot of people. We launched small groups, new small groups, and in addition to the ones that were already going, we launched 7 new small groups. We hosted online church for 10 weeks straight. If you guys remember that, we were unable to meet there for a little while. And so we just did online church, and we just adjusted and pivoted, and everybody came together. All of our teams came together and just put out quality, information and teaching and worship for all of us who were at home and just uncertain times, not knowing what was coming back. And we did that for 10 weeks. And during those 10 weeks of being quarantined at home, Tracy and I were able to go out and do Doorstep. We call it Doorstep Communion, and just see people's faces and pray with people. We were able to do that for as long as we could, and we're allowed to do that. And then, we sent care packages to all of our kids 3 different times in our kids' ministries, and it was just something that our, kids teams came up with, that we still wanted to be able to connect with kids, still wanted to know that our kids ministers were thinking about it and praying for them. And so they sent these care packages so the kids could have some fun and then have some stuff that was Christ-centered as well for them, activities that they could do and things like that. Really proud of those guys for doing that. And then we launched, this year, we launched Thursday Nights with Pastor T, which is a virtual small group, and which was really good. And we hosted 20 of those. So it was really a powerful time. We had a lot of development and growth and just honest conversations and really some critical times in the lives of people. And then so we continue with our women's ministry. I mean, just doing book studies together and virtual, just taking advantage of the virtual nature of sort of things and shifting. And I think that was really critical to all of our teams this year, is that we were able to pivot and shift with what was happening around us, because the gospel cannot be contained. And we just have to think of different methods to get it out. And we were able to do that in all of our ministries. Really, really excited about that. We launched our youth group, launched a small group. And so our students could get together and meet and build relationships and worship and do Bible study together. So that was really awesome. And then our Fostering Destiny backpack drive, you guys remember that? We wanted to minister to families, Christian families in the Valley who are foster parents. And we sponsored 25 backpacks full of supplies and did it just like that. I mean, it wasn't even, we didn't even have to do it for just a couple of weeks. I mean, it was completely, they were filled up and all that was supplied. And it was a blessing to 25 different families. Our Destiny Active small group had a couple of activities where they were able to go out, outdoors and minister and build relationships with one another while staying active. We had 3 table talks for women in our women's ministry, where a small group of women sign up and then we're able to come and sit around a table and have a meal and then just talk discipleship and really minister to one another and dig deeper into what it means to be a Christ follower. And it was powerful times for them to be able to do that. We had our annual graduation Sunday. And then we launched circle groups, 7 circle groups. So we put everybody in our church in a circle, so what we call them, a circle group, depending on where you live in the Valley. So in case something else was to come up or there's some type of need that arises and we're not able to meet again, like we were meeting for a period of time, then we know where people are in the city. And then you can know who is living around you so that we can, as a body, minister to one another and the body can minister to the body. How many of you know that is the design in the New Testament? And so we're really, really excited about 2021 and our circle groups and what that's going to look like. As you know, Pastor Randy and his team did 100 days of summer where they were going out and setting up church for 100 straight days in the summer. And Destiny Church was able to sponsor 6 of them. 6 different times we came out with teams. We took care of the food. We took care of whatever they needed for those events. We did that 6 days. And then women's ministry had a virtual game night. So I know it was a big hit because I could hear all the laughing and cackling coming from the computer screen. So that was pretty awesome. And then part of the year fulfillment, we've been talking for a couple of years about Pastor Randy and Michael Pickney coming over and being a part of our team because he's an evangelist. And I mean, that is he bleeds evangelism and breathes it and just thinks about it. He's passionate about it. And so we got together and talked about vision and him being a part of our team and just that fivefold ministry idea. And this year was the year of fulfillment. They came on in October and have hit the ground running. And so we sponsored also in Thanksgiving foster families across the Valley. There were 25 Thanksgiving in a box meals that went out, and we provided Thanksgiving meals for 25 families that are fostering kids in Las Vegas, 25, which was just absolutely incredible. And then our women's ministry had their fall craft night, which is another big hit. And then we launched, if you guys know, we launched a campaign because we were able to sign a lease on a new facility. Which is a big deal for us, something that we've been praying about for a good while now. And I still need you guys to pray because we need to get that special use permit passed. The first meeting for that's January 12th, and then I go back February 2nd for the finalized deal. Nothing happens until we get that done. So that's the final shoe that needs to drop. So please be praying about that. But we did a pledge campaign. Many of you still responded. Said, hey, I'll start to become a tither. I want to get behind the vision here, or I'm going to give this much above my tithe, or I'm going to do this much a month, whatever it is. And people just really stepped up to the plate. And I want to encourage you, if you haven't pledged yet, please go to our website and you can hit the Give Online tab there. And there's a place where you can make a monthly pledge. Whatever you can do, whatever the Lord lays on your heart to do, I'm telling you, it makes a big difference when everybody comes together and just does their part. So we're on a great track there to hit our goal on what we want to do with that. And then we sponsored 65 Thanksgiving meals to foster families on top of the Thanksgiving in a Box. So we did 65 Thanksgiving meals that went out to foster families this year. I mean, just an incredible amount of ministry was happening in what we did. And then we did our first Spartans training for 2020, which is our outreach and evangelism team. We had 12 people show up and say, man, we're committed to helping reach people in our community. And our women's ministry did their favorite things, Christmas party. Then we did gifts for 30 families with Foster Connect to make sure that the kids had Christmas. There was 30 families there that we said, you know what, we can take care of those 30 kids. And you guys stepped up to the plate and provided gifts for all 30 of those families so those kids could have Thanksgiving. And then, we said, look, Sportsman's Manor, which is the first outreach church that's happening, which some great developments are happening there that I'll be able to announce to you here in a few weeks. But we wanted to sponsor toys for these kids, and just through some things that God did ahead of time, we were able to sponsor 200 gifts for those kids that live in that complex over there. And there's a ton of kids over there. A lot of them really wouldn't have Christmas at all. And so an incredible night of ministry over there watching these kids. Plus they had a couple of other organizations give 50 bikes to Pastor Randy, and he was able to bring them over there. So it's probably some of the biggest and best Christmases those kids have ever had in their life. It's because of the generosity of people. Over 200 presents were given out to those kids. So really awesome. And as you guys know, right now we're delivering food into 6 locations right now, 6 of these weekly rental places that are really looking and ready for us to come in and start doing church, which is amazing to think about already. They're there, they're ready for us to come in there. So you guys keep praying that God helps us and gives us resources and people and connections to continue, because literally we're talking thousands and thousands of people that live in these things, and some of them are just in a few blocks, from one another. And so the potential for harvest is incredible. And we're going to go in there and preach Jesus to them. And there are a lot of high crime places. And when we go in, we've seen crime drop, and people get blessed and begin to meet each other. Community happens and ownership happens, and it just changes the whole dynamic. And so that's the power of the gospel, and your giving and your service and your ministry and your prayers is really making this happen. And I want to just encourage you to continue fighting the good fight and making sacrifices for the vision we have to reach people and to disciple them and release them into their destiny. So we have approval to do our this next location, which is down on Las Vegas Boulevard, and I believe it's Warm Springs. That church there in that area, Destiny Church Manor Suites, is going to launch on January 15th. And so if you guys know, a few weeks ago I said, hey, we need a sound system. We're going to borrow. This is how I put it to the church. I said, guys, we need a trailer, but we're able to borrow a trailer for right now. Okay, because in that trailer, it's really like church in a box. In that trailer, you have a big water tank with a baptismal that you fill up and drain. You've got your tables, your chairs, your generators, the grill for cooking hot dogs, whatever's in there. Your sound system is in there. Really the tents and, just all coolers, tables, chairs, everything you need, you pull up. And a few people can, get out and set it up in just 10, 15 minutes, and we're ready to have church. And so, But we did need a sound system, because we couldn't borrow a sound system because it was being used. And so I just put that out there on that Sunday and asked for the sound system. And of course, you guys stepped right up to the plate, and that was taken care of that day. And so Pastor Ian and I this week were able to go and purchase that sound system. But let me tell you the miracle that happened around that. All I said about a trailer was, hey, we need a trailer, but we're going to go borrow one for right now. I didn't even ask. I didn't even put that out there because it's about $10,000 to get that trailer and then get that thing outfitted. And I want you to know that within that next week, somebody went and picked up Pastor Randy and took him down to the store, or whatever you call it down there, and bought a brand new trailer. And then went and outfitted it with everything that they need to do church in a box, everything we're going to need. And it's right now at the place where they put wrap on it. And so it's going to be wraps. It's Destiny Church, Spartans for Christ. I mean, just amazing, incredible generosity. I was blown away at the goodness and the favor of God and the obedience of God's people. We just ask for a sound system and mention the trailer, and then we get the sound system, and then somebody goes and takes care of the trailer and everything that we need in it. And so just super exciting and confirmation that Jesus wants us to go into these places where there's a lot of crime, where most churches would not dare go in there. And we're going in and we're going to preach the gospel. I believe if Jesus was on the earth today, that's where he'd be, places like that. And we're going to go. And so I'm super excited about that trailer and the sound system and everything that God's people has provided. We'll have some pictures and videos for that here for you soon. We had our Destiny Annuals Destiny Kids Christmas program, which you saw that was always this. I think this was the best one we've ever done. Just special thanks to the person that bought all those costumes for the kids. You know who you are. They were donated, bought, and paid for. Just incredible, the work and the effort with our kids ministry. And our kids did fantastic. It's incredible to see the growth of our kids up there on the stage, even from last year. And each kid in our Destiny Kids ministry, because of some donations that were given to the church, was able to receive a very special blessing and a special gift this year. We had two families that were sponsored, two Destiny Church families that were sponsored, and they received Christmas. Everything was taken care of. I mean, a Christmas tree, their dinner and gifts, and needs were met. Two families were sponsored because this pandemic had taken a toll, and we wanted to make sure, that they were taken care of. And somebody stepped up to the plate and said, "Hey, I want to do this," and it just kind of put the two together, and the needs was met over and beyond, what they could ever do. And then we had two other families that we were able to bless and take care of their Christmas dinner for them because they had, some needs come up and different things. And then we had a connection. Somebody was saying, "Hey, we felt like God's put it on our heart to take care of some dinners." And so we just connected the dots, and, it was just incredible to see God's people ministering to one another. And then, of course, our Christmas Eve service, which is always a big hit. It's one of my favorite services of the year. And not only that, but this year, we had tons of meals that were given to people who were sick, people that had been in the hospital or had the loss of a loved one where, the need went out. And then, you guys all just stepped up to the plate in incredible ways to minister to one another. And those are just a few things there. I just wanted to, and I know it was a long list, but as I was reading over this, I asked Tracy just to put some things together. And there's other things that we just left out, but just wanted you to see the incredible amount of ministry that you all did. Look, I take no credit for this at all. I'm just a servant, right? You guys are the ones that heard the Lord, obeyed the Lord. You gave, you showed up, you worked, you prayed, you believed, even in the middle of madness going on in our world. And God did incredible things. 2020 really for Destiny Church has been a year of fulfillment for us. Because there's so many. I'm going to share a dream that Tracy had when we get back together first of the year. I want to share a dream that Tracy had before we ever started our church, way back a long time ago. And we believe that has been fulfilled, and we're seeing it unfold right before our eyes. So we're excited, for this upcoming year in 2021. The possibilities that God has given us, the doors that's opening for us, are absolutely incredible. And I'm really excited to get potentially moving into this new building, assuming that everything's going okay with the special use permit. Really excited to get in there and start having church in a place that's ours, where we don't have to rush and leave. We can fellowship, we can hang out, we can love on each other. We can do whatever we want to do because it'll be ours. And so we're going to see that level of ministry that we just did, meeting in a temporary location just for a specific amount of time. We're going to see all this ministry begin to increase because of the doors that God's opened for us. Real quick, though, before we go, I want to just give you something here to think about as we're getting ready to move into the new year, getting ready to begin our 21 days of prayer and fasting, which will start on January 1st. Make sure you get ready for that and prepare for the Daniel fast. Really want to encourage everybody to do the Daniel fast if you can. If not, if that's not possible for you, you really pray and see what God would have you to abstain from and give yourself to the Word in prayer. But as we're getting ready for that, I want to give you something to have you focus on and think about. And it comes from the Bible in Proverbs chapter 4:23. It says, "Keep your heart with all diligence, for out of it flow or spring the issues of life." Right? Keep your heart with all diligence, for out of it spring the issues of life. So what he's saying is you are responsible for keeping your heart. That's your responsibility. Keep, the word keep means to guard. Some translations say guard your heart. And it's a strong word, guard your heart. He says with all diligence. And in the original text, that has the picture of somebody placing a guard like you would at a prison door. Like you guard that, lock it, put somebody there to watch it, you guard it, you keep it, watch over your heart. And the reason why the Bible says this and why this is so important for you and I is because the way the human heart works, the way our souls work is whatever we allow inside, it will grow. I want you to understand that. The thoughts that you let in, the things you hear, the things you see, the things you meditate on, the things you think about, those things they start getting in your heart. They begin to get in you. And when they're in you, they absolutely grow. And here's the thing, once it gets in you and it starts to grow, if it's left unchecked, it will produce around you. What gets in you will eventually produce around you. So in other words, what you let get in your heart will not stay there. What you let get in your heart, what you let get in here, right? It will not stay there. Our text says, out of the heart spring the issues of life. Guard your heart, keep your heart with all diligence, for out of it. So things are coming out of your heart today. There's situations that we've created around us. There's circumstances, there's belief systems, there's environments and cultures and statuses and all kinds of things about our lives that were created simply because of what we allowed to get into our heart. So the question is this, as we're getting close to ending out the year, is what have you been consuming? What have you been really thinking about consuming and reading and meditating on and pondering? Because your ears and your eyes are gates to your heart. Your ears and your eyes, they're gates to your heart. What have you been consuming? Guard your heart. Keep your heart. Paul gives us a list of adjectives to describe the things that we should be thinking about as Christ followers and meditating on, right? The things that we need to be letting in these gates here. And he says them in Philippians 4. He says, finally, brethren, whatever things are true, whatever things are noble, whatever things are just, whatever things are pure, whatever things are lovely, whatever things are of a good report, if there's any virtue and if there's anything praiseworthy, meditate on these things. The word meditate here in the Greek means to take an inventory. Take an inventory of these things. Inventory this year as you're getting ready to close out the year. Listen to me. Inventory all the good that God has done for you this year. Meditate on it. Think on them. Look for all the things that are good. If you look, you're going to find things that God has done for you. Even if you'd say, this was just a terrible year, man. And I know there's some of you that are listening to me right now. I know what you've walked through this year. I know what you've been through. And I understand you probably say this has been a terrible year. But if you just look through a different lens, you're going to find things that are good, things that are lovely, and things that are praiseworthy. Paul says, think on these things. Meditate on them. Take inventory of them. Think on these things. Allow these things to fill your heart. And let me tell you why. If you think on these things, this is what Paul knows. If you think on those things, they too will grow. See, it's not just the bad things that you let in your heart grow and spring forth out of your heart and produce around you. It's also good things. It's also the goodness of God, things that are lovely and virtuous and just and pure and holy and praiseworthy. Thinking on those things, when those things get in your heart and you're guarding your heart and all the other negative things and all the terrible things that we have to walk through, right? When we have a proper focus on all those, even in that, we can still see the goodness of God. And Paul's saying, let that be your focus, because when those things are in your heart, they produce around you also. They spring forth out of your heart. It's what you decide to focus on that's going to make all the difference in the world for you. What you choose to focus on. Jesus did this when he was on the earth. Jesus modeled this for us. Hebrews chapter 12, verse 1 and 2, it says this, therefore we also, since we are surrounded by so great a cloud of witnesses, let us lay aside every weight and the sin which so easily ensnares us, and let us run with endurance the race that is set, watch, before us. It's in front of us. Looking unto Jesus. Where's our focus? Looking unto Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith, who, for the joy that was set before him, he endured the cross, despising the shame, and has sat down at the right hand of the throne of God. See, Jesus didn't focus on the lies that were being told about him. He didn't focus on the people that were working against him. He didn't plot revenge against those people that were going to participate in his torture and his murder. He endured the indescribable horrors of the cross because he focused on the joy that was set before him. He didn't look at all the negative. He didn't let that stuff get in his heart. Right? He looked at the joy that was set before him. And that's how he was able to get through the pain, the shame, the suffering of the cross. He focused on the joy that was set before him. What was that joy? That joy was you. That joy was you. You were the joy that was set before Jesus. You were worth all the pain and the suffering and the shame that he willingly went through because of you, because he loves you. You were the joy that was set before him. So by following his example, listen, this is how we guard our hearts. This is how we meditate on the right things, take inventory on the right things. We follow his example. He focused on you when he was on the earth, and you, while you're on this earth, can in turn focus on him. Because he focused on you first, now you have the opportunity to focus on him and get all the junk out and let the goodness of God in. He is the joy that is set before us. So every day, make a conscious effort that you're going to take up the cross. The joy that Jesus Christ is for us. You're going to take up his cross and the benefits, and do not let anything else distract you from believing and living out everything that Jesus did for you there at the cross. He is the joy that's set before us, and the cross makes it all possible. Listen, I hope that you're excited as I am for 2021 and everything that Jesus is going to do. And I want to challenge you to think on the cross every day. Meditate on the cross. Listen, you take your time off and you can go do a simple Google search. What are the benefits of the cross? What does the cross mean for a Christ follower? What did I get at the cross? What's provided for me at the cross? And you'll see all these things, incredible studies. That's your reality. That's who you are. You are not what's happened to you. You're not the negative chaos that you see happening in this world. Meditate and take inventory of all the good things that God has done for you in 2020. And I promise you, it'll make a huge difference in 2021 in your life. Thank you so much for spending time with me. I hope you guys are having a great, relaxing time off. Tracy and I love you, and our kids love you. We can't wait to see you again. And I'm looking forward to being with you. Make sure you make some invites to come to church with you at First Sunday in January. God bless.